Hi everyone. Today we are going to see about establishment review of post offices. And when we say about post offices, this video is specifically about sub post office. And sub post office has to submit several forms in order to review their establishment. And in particular, this video is concerned about filling up of the form EST2 in terms of the ad hoc norms that the Directorate has established. First, we need to see when a periodical review has to be done and why it is necessary. Periodical review has to be done once in 3 years. Why do we need to review the establishment? Like a post office may be functioning single-handedly. Due to workload, you may require an additional clerk. Like if a post office is working as a 1+2 or 1+3 office, the workload may look like we need an additional staff. At that time, we cannot place a request. We have to provide statistics that justifies your requirement. And the same is applicable to delivery establishment also. Sometimes workload may become heavy and there may be requirement for additional beats, additional delivery agents, like it may be for a postman or a GDS MD. We cannot simply place a request. We need to justify it through statistics. Currently, when we are making this video, review is actually on hold. We can review the establishment after 1/7/2022 only. However, when we say after 1/7/2022, the data from 1/7/2021, 1 year prior, can be taken. That is the March COVID time. The COVID time, March 2020 to 1/7/2021. That is before, up to June 2021. The data, whatever is data that an establishment has, that cannot be taken for review. So whatever transaction that you are doing now for your office, that is applicable for during the review of 1/7/2022. Now we are going to see specifically about sub post offices. When a sub post office establishment has to be reviewed, after it, like once in 3 years, an SPM has to submit 5 forms. Like EST2, actually the old form is EST2. Currently, Directorate has issued ad hoc norms based on the CSI operations. The second one is value returns. That is how like an income to cost, whether this SO is the salary that is being given to the establishment and the profit that the office is making, whether it is related, whether it is sustainable, that is value returns. MTS and packer statistics, whether the office certifies holding one packer or whether the workload is heavy, we need an MTS for the separate statistics. And for delivery statistics is for delivery POs. Like for justification of beat and all, we need to submit delivery statistics. And if there is a mail carrier that is directly attached to sub office, not like a branch office or anything, like if there is a GDS MD, MC, who is directly attached to an SO, for that we have to separately submit a statement. Now if you see, for all SOs, whether it is delivery or no delivery, single hand, LSG or whatever, HSG, whatever type of sub office it is, these 2 forms must be submitted. These 3 forms. EST2. In EST2 form, data for 4 months is usually taken. That is, you cannot take like 4 consecutive months. Take 1 from each quarter, like once in 3 months. Like January, if you take, leave February, March, take April, May, June, leave it up, then July, August, September, leave it, then October. So in this manner, data for 4 months must be taken. Value returns means it is related to EST2. So whatever data that you have taken, for which 4 months you have taken the data for EST2, the same month's data needs to be filled up in value returns form. When we say next is MTS packer statistics, it is a single form and data for the same 6 days, that is, in a week we are having 6 working days. Just choose any week in which there is no holiday, and based on that we have to fill up the statistics. This MTS and packer statistics has to relate the Delivery statistics, like this delivery statistics is required only for delivery officers, sub-officers. So whatever statistics that you are going to give for MTS tracker, the same dates, for the same dates, statistics must be taken for delivery also. The fifth and the final form is, if there is a mail carrier attached, then for a single day data alone that is required, like what is the distance travelled by them. Mainly that will be one of the main thing, and how many bags is being carried by them. Among these 5 forms, today specifically we are going to see about EST2 form, which is the most exhaustive one, because after 2019 of May 24th order, Directorate has given ad hoc norms. Ad hoc norm is not finalized form, it will undergo changes, but however it has been directed in the letter that these ad hoc norms should be used for calculating the statistics of an office. So we need to use these ad hoc norms. Along with this letter, the ad hoc norms runs to about 6 to 7 or 8 pages. It is applicable both for head officers and sub officers, but since this video is only for sub office, they are going to take only those sections which are required to be filled by a sub office. So before filling up this EST2 form, it has more than 100 or 150 rows. So before filling up these, we need to have a few reports from our system. Like whichever 4 months you have chosen, for those 4 months, generate the daily accounting sheet from POS back office. From POS back office, get the daily accounting sheet for those months ready. Next, for the same 4 months, go to the Finacle MIS server and download these 2 reports, account statistics report and KYC status report. If you have these 3 reports with you, we can fill most of the statistics can be filled with it. So in this EST ad hoc norms, it is just an ad hoc norm, but we will still call it as EST2 form. There are several sections. Like I said, in Directorate order, there are several sections. We are only going to extract and see whichever it is applicable for a sub office. Like in a head office, they will scan the check and send it for clearance and all. That is not applicable for a sub office. So we are not taking those sections. We will take only those that are applicable for a sub office. When we talk about sub office, whether it may be a no delivery or delivery, it may be a single-handed or LSG, HSG sub office. This form is applicable for all sub post offices. So first section is point of sale, and below that whatever articles that you are going to book, you are going to dispatch, right? That will come under IPVS. Next ESB, Western Union Money and Transfer, IPO, MOPay, DPMS and IPVS under the DPMS. Aadhaar if your sub office has facility, treasury, then PLI. If you see, this is how a daily accounting sheet. If you have generated, I told that we need 3 reports, basic reports. This is the first basic report that we will need. Here I am showing you an example that has been generated from one of the sub office. So we go to POS back office, generate this report. This is how a daily accounting sheet will look, and I believe almost all SPMs are submitting in a monthly basis to a division office. So use the same thing. Here I am showing you an example for a account statistics report. Like if you go to Finacle MIS server, go there and generate this account statistics report for those months for which you are going to take the statistics. 4 month statistics needs to be downloaded. If you see the number of transactions in category wise, deposits, new accounts, closures, even if you take an RD, even the loan against the RD and PPF, everything separate statistics will be shown. So you need to have this report, and you also need to have a KYC status report. Once you have your account statistics, daily accounting sheet and KYC status report, you can start filling up the EST forms, because other data and all you need to fill it based on your own activities only. Here if you see, the first section is point of sale, as already pointed out. Yeah, I have given you an example. Since we can take statistics after July 2021, for example, I have taken August, November, February and May. In this, let's see how to fill in the filling up of EST2 form. The first one that we are going to see is point of sale portion. If you see this, this is the ad hoc nouns actually given by directorate. In this ad hoc nouns, there are several columns, several rows. When you see the form itself, it will look very tedious. But it's not tedious. You just need to approach it section by section. So if you see, here you need data for 4 months. I have given an example like August, November, September and May. So whatever statistics that you're going to give, it should pertain to that of a whole month. So when we say data for a whole month, you need to know the number of working days in that particular month first. So if you take August 21, there are 24 working days. Leaving the holidays and Sundays, national holidays and Sundays, there are 24 working days. So let's go to the first section, which is point of sale. When we say point of sale, the very first thing that you need to know is what are the activities that is done by a supervisor. So, login by supervisor. How many times does a supervisor log into the CSA module in a month? Like if there are 24 working days in that month, he could have minimum logged into the CSA portal at least 24 times. Based on the connectivity issue, it may vary. It may vary 2 times a day, or sometimes in the entire week or a month you may not have to, not like a month, provided the connectivity issues. Now you might have to log in at only once. So based on the connectivity of your own sub-office, provide the data how many times the supervisor logs in. So minimum there needs to be 24 is the minimum working day in August 2021. So if there are days like 6 days you need to log in twice, usually it comes up to 24 only. You can give around like 28 or something like that. How many times does the supervisor give PO begin and counter allocation? Here if you see, PO begin is done once. But what about the counter allocation? Counter allocation based on the number of counters, if it is a single hand, it will be done only once. PO begin and counter allocation will be done only once. However, if there are more than one counter, what happens is 2 times you have to allocate the counter. The supervisor has to allow for both the counters. So if there are 2 counters, 2 into number of working days. That should be the data here. Now cash and stamp receipt from treasury by supervisor. Like before, like for a SB counter, from the treasury, supervisor receives the cash from the treasury and gives it to the counter. If there is more payments on that particular day, the supervisor might have to get it twice also from the treasury. Generally, the minimum number should be 24. If you are receiving stamp per type, like 10 rupees stamp is one type, then because in CSE that's how it is there, right? Like 10 rupees stamp we are going to give it once, and how many times it's being received. Have an average in your mind, like in a one day, how many times this is done. And based on that, multiply into the number of working days and provide the data here. And same thing is applicable for counter PA also. Here if you see, counter PA logs into system, it is the same thing as login by supervisor. Like based on how many times there is a network connectivity issues there, counter operator had to log in. So based on that, give it. Just remember that nothing should be below the minimum number of working days. Shift begin will be done only once. Don't give any extra margin further. Accept allocation of stamp. It is the same thing. Like here, how many times the supervisor is going to get the cash from the treasury, those many times the counter operator has to receive. So whatever data you are entering here, the same will be reflecting here. If you see all the other next columns, that is from speed post, insurance post, whatever is here, EMS documents, everything up to the 26th one above philately, everything is available in your daily accounting sheet. So in this, if you see, in this month how many register letters has been booked? 531. So this data needs to be entered in the register letters column. So all the data from speed post, above philately, everything will be available in your daily accounting sheet. That is why it is required to generate this for the formats. And from this data, fill up every row that is available above philately. Here if you see, there will be a column for sales of stamps. We will see that later. Next is philately. Like if your sub-office is a HSG1 or LSG and it is authorized to open, if you are having philately accounts, you will be having a philately register. So take up the register and see in that month how many is being opened, how many times it has been recharged, if there is any update, or how many accounts have been closed. So all these things, if your office is dealing with philately, then these columns need to be entered. Else, you can just strike out this, it is not applicable for you. After philately is stamp sales. Don't get confused with philately and normal stamp sales. This is a product sale. When we say product sale, it includes stamps and stationery. We know that in CSI, we have two things, which is postal stationery and then stamp sale. So whatever is being given here and here, those things you need to enter into this column. Like per type, you have to enter into this data. Enter the data here. Again it deals about IPO. How many IPO has been issued, paid, if there is payment per IPO. I mean per IPO. Like in for 100 rupees you could have given 10 IPOs. So all this, if you have a register, it's easy to fill up. Yes, you can take it from the accounting sheet. In that IPO sale will be reflected. Next is EMO. This one also is about issue only. We are still seeing about the point of sale booking only. So how many EMO is being booked? This is also from daily accounting sheet. Anything else, if you are having like post box collection is there, you will be having a register, fill that up. And if anything else service is there, how many times it has been done in a month, you can enter there. Next is franking machine. Generally, most of the sub-offices will not be having franking machine. If you are having franking machine in your office, then you will be having register. Based on those register, enter how many recharge requests have been received, how many times renewal has been received, then how many registers have been maintained. I mean, you have to maintain registers, right? So based on that, if there are 2 registers maintained, basic registers, based on that, you write 2 here. These will are applicable only to those sub-offices where franking machine is available. Else, strike out this, it's not necessary. Next is premium collection of NPS. This will be reflected in the daily accounting sheet of point of sale. Here, this is the end of point of sale section from here to here. So, at the end, after you are completing the counter, you will be generating the report and you are going to tally with the cash. So, minimum 24 days, working days is there. So, minimum 24 times you will be doing that. And based on the reports, you can multiply that. I mean, give a margin and fill up this data. How many times? Like if your cash collection is heavy, you could have counted it twice also in a day. From your by hand book also you can have a reference. And you can, how many times you have handed over to the supervisor, based on that, this data needs to be entered. And if it is deposited on the same thing will come to the supervisor also. So these 3 columns will be same, because how many times you are counting and depositing to the supervisor, same, so many times you have to transfer it, so many times the supervisor will be approving it. So this data will be the same. So how many EMOs you have booked, each and every EMO the supervisor would have verified. So here you are having the EMO booking column, the same one should come here for verification. Submit account is done only once per day. So number of working days is 24, so give that there. And for those same data, approval will be there, shift end will be there, and then supervisor will come, and then PON will come. So these things will be same. If you are having more than one counter, then submit account and all will increase according to that. So far we have seen point of sale. Next is IPVS. Here you should not get confused with general articles that you are receiving with those articles that are booked with the point of sale. This section deals with only IPVS data. We need to enter it only for the articles that is being booked through the point of sale. So how many times you are logging in? Same type like point of sale. And next is sorting of articles product wise. Here if you see, you have to add up all whatever articles that you have booked here. Speed post, insured, registered, passes, whatever you have booked here, all these things, just add these columns and all those articles need to be sorted out. So give that data here. So the same articles will be again done here. So these two data will be same. First is product wise, you are going to separate them as speed register or whatever it is. Then in those articles you have to again separate them TD, non-TD. Based on your DMSL, you will be sorting it. However, the number of articles is not going to differ because these are articles booked through the counter. Next is how many bags you need to close. Those will be entered here. But wherever you are having articles, the data will be the same. So scan whatever articles you are going to sort out, you need to scan all those articles. If there are insured articles, supervisor has to approve. So see how many insured articles have been booked in previous column. Enter that. For those articles, supervisor has to give the approval. Next is how many bags have been closed per bag. For the same bag, you are going to close and scan the labels. Then so many, minimum so many pages will be taken as printout. If the, for in exceptional cases, you don't usually close so many articles in a single bag. If there are so many articles in a single bag, the manifest may go to like 2 or 3 pages. So if it goes to 2 pages, then you can have a margin. Generally, it doesn't usually go. So this will be same. Then here, how many bags you have closed? So many times you are going to insert the articles. So per bag data will be same everywhere. Next is entry of schedule details. How many schedules you have taken print out? Like one schedule per day, right? You are going to have, if there is only one dispatch, if your office has, sub office has 2 dispatch, mail dispatches, then 2 times. There is only one time. Generally, sub offices usually have 1. City offices may have 2 or 3 dispatches. Based on that, give it, but have the minimum number of working days is 24 means 24. So this is per bag. So automatically per bag data will be the same. Again for bag, per bag you are going to generate the mail list. Again per bag you are going to transfer each and every bag will be transferred to mails. Here, if you see this section, per bag data will be same, per article data will be same. Only in like here, insured you have to be careful with that. Or otherwise, is basically how many articles, how many bags. That's it. Next is savings bank section. In this section, whatever data is required, you have every data in your account statistics report. You may have difficulty in 1 or 2 columns, like 1 or 2 sections, like safe creation, safe modification. As I already pointed out, you should have KYC status report. If you have KYC status report that you generate and send it to CPC, right? Based on that, you can have an idea about how many SIP you have created. And you cannot differentiate. There is no separate statistics in Pinnacle to say how many SIP has been modified in a month. So you have to have a rough idea how many times SIP modification comes. SIP modification will come whenever you have to add a phone number or other details or anything else. Like those stuff, in those circumstances, SIP modification will occur. So have a rough idea. There is no specific data that can be generated through Pinnacle. Separation modification together only we require getting in KYC status report. Savings bank, whatever column I am saying, it is going to be repeated in each and everything here. I will just give an example here. Silent existing account modification will come when whenever if the account name has to be given differently, at those time account modification will come. When all otherwise in EFB, account modification will not occur as per the latest recent guidelines. There is not going to be an account modification. So if you have an account modification, you have an entire data. There is no report that can tell you how many times you have modified an account. Silent account revival will not come for sub-office. It's not applicable. Just don't fill it. New account opening. That automatically you're going to have that from the statistics report. How many new accounts have been opened? That will be given in your statistics report. Just see that and fill it up. In SB, how many has been opened? Fill that data there. If you are having an account name change, it is the rarest of the occasion. If that is there, then you can fill it up. Then freezing, unfreezing and all in ESB, generally we don't do that, and sub-officers are not entitled to do that. So this column is not applicable for you. Account closure, again from the statistics report. SIP merger. SIP merger will occur like whenever there needs to be the SIP of an old account needs to be merged with an SB account. Like if an RT account is old RT account is getting closed and the amount is being transferred to an SB account. In those instances, SIP merger will occur. Again, we don't have any particular report that tells you how many times you have merged. So it's up to you to fill the column here. This based on your idea about how the office functions. Passbook printing entries. Here, know that this gives you more weightage because whatever column you are having here, solid divides the total new account, the total deposit, total number of withdrawals, total number of accounts closed, add up all these columns because I am telling about for SB. Here this is under SB, right? So, but here there is no other thing for passbook entry printing. So whatever it is there, you give the passbook printing entries, add up the final one, because for every deposit and every withdrawal, new account opening, you are going to take the printout for passbook. So have that as a minimum amount, and again there may be AMC entries, duplicate passbooks, so you can have a margin based upon the transaction in your office. But don't go for a value that is less than the total of number of new accounts, no closed, deposits and withdrawal. Go beyond that because automatically if there is an AMC, duplicate passbook, you are going to have more passbook entries. Next is check, SB deposit, everything. It will be from the account statistics report only. You need not go beyond that. Here the supervisor, if you see the supervisor column in the CVS and the counter column, you have to relate them both. So if there are so many SIP creation in the by the counter operator, so many times supervisor has to verify, so many times the modification has to be verified. So whatever you have entered for the operator, enter the same thing for the supervisor also. Don't have a variation there. Okay, because the columns is going to be the same. Why we need to enter is the operation that is being done by an operator, the thing that is being done by an operator carries more weightage. Like see the number of seconds that is being allotted for each transaction. Whereas supervisor is not going to do anything, he is just going to be verifying the entries. So the seconds that is being allotted for each transaction is less. That's why the same data need to be entered twice. Next is, here one more thing is, we would have told you here about standing instruction. We don't have any particular pinnacle data that tells you how many standing instructions have been entered in a month. You can have it like a day, how many has been run, but you can't have a report that says how many has been run in a month. So it needs to be up to you to decide that. Next we are going to see about Western Union money transfer. So if your sub-office is doing Western Union money transfer transaction, you will be having a register. So from that register, each and every entry can be made here. So how many times you are going to fill the forms? One time only you are going to, how many times you are logging in? Based on the per day, you can log in once or twice. So everything for one transaction, how many transactions has been made, based on that only the forms will come, filling up will come, so many number of receipts will be there, and so many number of times the cash could have been got from the treasury, and if there is more, then you can have to create a liability, check creation, request for a check. Like check preparation of check is will not come for if your office is not authorized to give issue check. This column and all will not come for you. If you are authorized, then for that, how many times you are given the made through check. Creating liability means if the sub officer needs to pay through check, then it will come. So on at the end of the day, how many Western Union money transfers have been done? You are going to take a daily report printout, right? So how many days you have done the transaction, so many times you could have prepared the daily report. So for this, you can easily fill the data from your register. Next is IPO paid. This one also is easy when you have a register. If you have a register, how many times? Usually IPO paid will only come for HO. Sub officers, very rare instances only will come. So for the first one is for head office only it is applicable. From a source, how many paid vouchers have been received, they will fill it. So it is not applicable for sub office. For these things and all. Now, if you are having a paid voucher, then for the checking how many IPO has been paid, for those only this third and fourth column is not applicable. So if it is sub office, third and fourth column are applicable if there is an IPO paid. When it comes to money order paid, we know that CSE data beyond 3 months is usually flushed out. So we don't have, like if you are sitting on July 2022 and trying to take the data for the previous 1 year, it is not possible. The data would have flushed out. So it's not possible to take the data of money order paid from the CSI. So you need to count how many vouchers have been paid, so physically only. The first one, it is not applicable for you. This one is like from SO means you can mean like from sub office. If there is from a branch office, sorry. Like if there are 5 BOs under your SO, so if from the 5 SOs you have received the money order paid voucher, like even if 10 money orders have been paid in a single BO, you have to count it as one receipt of MO paid from one BO. So if there are 5 BOs, how many times paid has been done? Remember that there is no specific data available in CSI to give you an accurate value. It is up to you to have an approximate idea in your mind how many times it is being paid, whether it's a heavy BO. Only if you have worked regularly, you will be able to say that. Based on that only you can fill this. This next is paid voucher is how many paid vouchers, how many money orders have been paid in a month. Have that data. Using that data, you can fill up these 3 columns, how many vouchers. So there, the number is not going to differ here, though the value, that is seconds allotted based on the work it is different. However, number of voucher is not going to change. So these 3 will remain the same. Number of money orders paid in a month. Next is DBMS. Again, for this, you are not going to have any particular data from your CSM module for 1 year. So you have to either, if you want to have an accurate data, you have to either get it like count from your available printouts that is being preserved in your sub office, or you can, the easier and better way to do is have a your DMSL, that is sorting line. You know how many bags need to be dispatched and received for your office. So you will be, those are the minimum number. So have that number as a standard unit per day. Multiply that with the number of working days. And using that only you can fill this. Like L bag is not come from sub office. If there is, like if you read, you can see easily parcel bag. How many parcel bag have you received in a month? Like if the parcel bag is due, even if you are not having any parcel inside that, you still have to receive it, right? So you have to say, if the parcel bag is due for you, in that case, number of minimum working days has to be entered. If your office is having heavy transaction, so you can have a margin and write it. The only way to give an accurate value is you need to take up the mail list and take up the printouts, and from those only you can enter this. Or else, if you are working for a longer period, you know on an average how many bags is being received per day from your office. So based on that, you have to give. If you see here, registered, parcel, transit, packet, whatever, how many bags you have received, all these together you are going to check. So give whatever is the total that needs to be entered here, and so many number of bags will be sorted out, and so many number again, these two will be the same. Next is dispatch of bags. Like how many times mail PA is going to dispatch, how many bags is going to be received. No, first have that, you should know that how many bags you need to dispatch per day minimum, and then if there are more, have a margin and do that. You cannot have, like if you want to give an accurate data, you need to physically count. Else you can have an average, like take even August, take one day and see how many bags are being received on that day and multiply that with the number of working days, and you will be having the idea. That's the easy way to fill it. Just see that the statistics do not appear too much made up. Don't boost your statistics in an unjustified manner, because finally this form will be verified by the subdivisional head. But at the same time, know that don't go below your minimum. Here login by the supervisor, shift begin by the supervisor. Again already explained in the point of sale. Same concept appears here. Here all this you need to have an idea about the number of bags received and the number of bags dispatched. Here if you see how many bags have been, how many articles have been received, you need to know that. Only when you know how to know this, you can either count from your registered list that you have received and you can fill up this, or else take an average day, not like a day that has too many articles, not like a day that has less articles. Take an like a medium day, like an average day. See how many articles have been received, multiply that with the number of working days and enter into this. Because CSI does not have data beyond 3 months since flight out, we don't have any particular way to extract it from our CSI module. So you should know the relation. How many times you have received the parcels, how many registered parcels you have received, those many parcels are going to be given to the postman. How many registered letters have been received by you, so many letters are going to be issued to the postman. So these issuance of articles to the postman and number of articles received will be related only. So like missent and all are not going to invoice. So if your office is an office that receives large number of missent, you can reduce it generally, or else you can give the same value. How many beat you are going to have? Is your beat big? If it is big, how many pages is generally done? Like always take the value of a day and multiply it with the number of working days. When they say number of square articles, match it with the number of opened articles. Don't write what is in the beat. Like to postman means don't give value for one beat. All articles that has been received will be issued to the postman only, except for missent. Again, how many articles have been redirected? How many articles postman is returning? How many articles have been received in deposit? You definitely can't have this data from the CSI. So you need to see for a day, and based on that value, give this for a month. Ordinary articles, same way. How many? You must remember that these statistics are for month. Again, for fetching of article means what? How many articles is being received? All the articles will be faced, stamped, sorted. So these three values will be same. Again, sorting of articles by postman, same thing will come. Here only you have faced, stamped and beat wise you have sorted out. And each article will be sorted out again by the postman according to the route. So, number of articles here, whatever data, everything will be same. Here, per bag means how many bags have been closed, ordinary bag, based on that you can close. Minimum 1. There is minimum 1 multiplied by the number of working days. Again, cash taken depending upon the money order received and the VP, these two have to be taken. Know that usually the postman will not take cash every day. Only when he has money orders, he is going to be received and he take cash to the beat, or else he is not going to have it. And cash deposit, whenever he has returns a collected VP, COD or CD, then he is going to send it, get given. Don't do, when you are saying cash deposit by postman, don't multiply it by saying that this is VP cash, this is money order paid returns cash, this is CD cash. No, not like that. One postman is going to give the returns in only once. He is not going to separate it. Like this amount is for VP, this amount is for that. He is going to give cash deposit only once on his return from the beat. So per beat, if there are 2 beats in the post office, and every day the postman is returning, or like let's take on average on 15 days, he is going to give back the cash to the treasurer. The 15, 2 beats is 30, 24 working days, multiply that and enter the data. Again EMO, this is regarding whatever receipt you are receiving. Whenever you are saying, again all this you are not having data in CSI beyond 3 months, no, it's not possible. Even in MIS server, it doesn't give you accurate figure. How many EMOs you have received, that these things, EMO paid. You are going to send EMO paid returns, monthly returns. SPM would have filed it, so take that, and based on that you can say beatwise sort it, and not just the pay, even the return. You have some EMOs will be returning, so you can have a value above the EMO paid transaction number also. Here all this number is going to be the same per beat here. So how many beat you are going to have based on that? So beat, how many beat? Then if you see all this, if it is per EMO, the value will be the same. If it is per beat, the value is going to be the same. If here redirected means, don't say that redirected EMOs means how many times have you redirected. The occurrence will be rare. If it is there, you don't have any data, or definitely you don't have a data. You need to have a rough figure, or else if you want to fill it in an accurate manner, take the beat list returned from the postman for a month, check out how many EMOs have been returned in a month. That's the only way to do that. Here this VPMO details from your VP register, you can do that. All this is from your delivery section only. Then beat and beat EOD, how many EODs are there, how many beats are there? So many times. If there are 5 beats, 5 times you are going to give beat EOD and multiply that into number of working days, enter into the hours per month column. So IPVS, this is very similar to IPVS of point of sale, but however this figure will be lesser because this is going to occur only when a postman returns an article. So your figure is not going to be higher here. However, the data again you have to take it physically only. Yes, take the average data and multiply that into number of working days and fill it. The next section that you are going to see is that of the Aadhaar. If your office is authorized to do Aadhaar transaction, you must have a register. If you have a register, everything is going to be easy for you. You know, based on the number of Aadhaar transactions that you have taken, you have to fill up this data. The next thing is treasury. When we see treasury, again we don't have any particular reports from CSI. However, always keep in mind as usual the number of working days a month has. So if you see opening of treasury branch by joint custodian, compulsorily per day once at least it will be opened. So if there are, suppose if there are more number of cash, the amount is more, then at those times we might have to open it twice. So unless otherwise such a circumstance occurs, generally it's once per day. So number of working days will be coming there. Again login by treasury. So if you see read each and everything, you have to guess per day how many times you are doing this. Like if you see here remittance of cash to SO under HO to ZRF, you have to from to SO under HO means you guess it as to BO from SO, because these norms are actually for HO, designed for HO. So we are using the same norms for sub-office also. So how many times you count a cash per day? Like if it is required, the treasurer has to count like twice, thrice. If number of counters is more, then the number of times the cash is counted will be more. So per day, how many times? Multiply that by the number of working days and enter that here. Each and every column, each and every activity will describe by itself. Just understand what each and every sentence means here. You need to have a bit of patience and lot of time to fill this form. Like whenever they say handing over of bags to treasurer or carrier, count the number of bags and per bag, like inclusive of a copy BO bag, you enter the detail here. Don't forget the BO bag. And here, unless you otherwise you know the number of times in each activity is done per day, it will be very difficult for you to fill up this. So know how many times it is being done in a day, and based on that, multiply that into the number of working days and enter here. Everything is related to the treasury activity only. If sometimes drawing of check, if it is not there, and if it is not in, if preparation of checks is not involved in your SO, just skip the description. You don't have to be stuck in that particular description for a long time. Again, this ATM is if your SO does not have any ATM in your premises, you don't have to enter the value here. Just skip this entire section. Next is PLI. PLI, all the reports can be generated from the McAmish. From McAmish, every month you know that you can generate data. So get the monthly reports from the McAmish software and you can enter this. You can also get a rough figure through the daily accounting sheet, because at the end of the day the number of transactions that is done on McAmish is being incorporated. So the point of sale counter will give you an idea about the number of transactions that is involved in PLI and RPLI. If you see here, indexing of new proposals, indexing of the other activities like maturity, survival, claim, etc. per month, how many you have done. Premium collection and counting of cash means how many transaction is there per transaction you write this. Per case does not, it means that it implies the number of transactions. Regarding PLI payments, everything you can download it from our McAmish software itself. All this is through the software. And after that, tallying PLI and RPLI reports means per day at least one time you will be tallying. Like per voucher, you have to say per voucher is also meaning, it also means per transaction. So this is, at the end of the day, you are going to count on the total amount that is being collected or dispersed through the McAmish, and finally you will be tallying it with the physical cash. So it will come at least once. So per day the figure is given. Here number of working days, minimum value needs to be written. Here if it is August 21, number of value will be at least 24. Then whatever you are going to do, each and every correction like per case, per voucher, per entry, everything implies the same, except in few cases, like in the same case there will be like premium collection and both loan repayment. However, both in these things involve two separate transactions. You can treat them as two separate cases. If there are error entries, when it comes to error entries, you need to be careful, because this has a record through which it will be cross-checked. Error entry book needs to be maintained, and if there is a receipt cancellation, based on that receipt cancellation, you have to write. We also know that receipt cancellation the report can also be generated through McAmish software. So at the end of the day, after filling up all this, ELI, point of sale, treasury, Kayveeyes, IPO, paid, Aadhaar, WP, Western Union, everything, you will be entering the values per month, like for a whole month, how many times it has been done. And at the end of the day, it will be totaled. How this sheet is filled is, A plus all the 4 months together, it will be given as a total. Average is total divided by, here in August it may be, the working days will be 24. November it may be 24, it may be 25. It will differ. So if it is 24, 25, 26, like if it is 22, everything will be added up. If the total comes up to like 98 days, total number of working days for these 4 months will be whatever the value is. For example, if it is 98 days, then this total transaction divided by the total working days, like 98, it means average done on a per day. Like your average transaction login time per day, average. In that way, you have to fill up these columns. Then based on whatever value you are having here, if the login per day is 1, then the time factor, here you are having the time factor as 34. So this average will be multiplied by the time factor, and the time taken for this activity to be performed in a day will be entered here. So if there are two counters, it means that for example, here counter allocation, 2 counter allocation is done by the supervisor in this particular sub-office. So it means 24 working days means at least minimum 48 times counter allocation is being done by the supervisor in a month. So in the same way, if you are taking that this month has like 46 or something for 23 working days, or like if it has 21 working days, then the total number will be added up here, and the average will be whatever we are entering value here, this average will be generated, and based on that it will get multiplied, and the value you will be getting here, average into time factor, it will be termed as product. And after you have filled up all the columns, like whatever relevant columns, it need not necessarily be all the columns. Whatever is applicable to your sub-office, just fill that, and at the end of the day, all the products it will be calculated. You need not calculate the time factor. When it's up to your postmaster, need not calculate time factor on product. They have to enter the fields from these 4 months total and average. Even if you don't know the average, until average it is necessary for you to fill it. If you can do the calculation, time factor on product also can be done. And at the end of the day, I am giving an example here. For this suppose office, if the total grand total of all the products is, you are getting this as 1,60,753 seconds. 753 means 752.8 seconds. So this is the grand total. Like per day, the total seconds that is involved for the transactions is 1,60,752.8. This is in seconds, because every factor is in seconds, like 134 seconds per case, 9 seconds per entry. So this will be in seconds. If you see, this example that I have taken is a sub-office that has 4 PAs. That means 1 SPM and 3 PAs. So totally 4. So per PA, 7.5 working hours will be taken on an average. Working hours that then the PA needs to put in is 7.5 hours. Here the total work hours, that seconds, total grand total, that is grand total for this sub-office is 1,60,000 seconds. So you divided by, this is all your example. This need not be worked out by an SPM. It will be worked out at the divisional level. I am just giving you this because you can have an idea how many seconds need to be there for you in order to sustain the same establishment, or you need more establishment, like additional PAs are required, additional hand is required. So you can do this roughly, but this calculation need not be submitted. This is grand total. So this grand total you have to divide by 3,600 because 60 seconds, 60 minutes. So per hour, 3,600 seconds are there. So how much work hour is being put in this sub-office? So it means for here in this example, if you divide this by 3,600, you get 44 hours. Whatever is remaining, again divide that by 60, you get the number of minutes. Whatever value is remaining, that will be the seconds. So in this example, it's 44 hours, 39 minutes and 13 seconds. But I told that this is an office that has 4 clerks, that is 1 SPM and 3 PS. Here, it is enough if this office had 30 staff hours. That's enough. Like 30 hours of work is more than enough for this office. However, if you see, this office has a workload for 44 hours, nearly 45 hours. So it means it is short in PA by 14 hours. It means additional PAs are justified for this sub-office. So if your office has 2 PAs, see that at least 14 hours or 15 hours of, 14 is enough, 14 hours of work is arrived at the end of the day after filling up all these forms. If it is single-handed, around 6 hours to 7.5 hours is enough. It does not necessarily mean that if your staff hours is 8 hours, they will give you an additional PA. It needs to be justified beyond it. So, the minimum staff hour for one clerk needs to be at least 7.5 hours, like 7 hours and 30 minutes. If it is 2 hours, if it has 2 PS, just multiply that. So far we have seen EST2, how you can fill that, and what is the minimum number of work hours that is required in a sub-office. As we already saw in the beginning of this video, you have other forms like value returns, MTS and package statistics, delivery statistics, and mail carrier statistics. You need not worry about this now. We will see this in the subsequent videos. We will also see what is required data or the statistics required to sustain in a sub-office. All these forms will be posted in yours Kayveeyes blogspot.com in the later stages. Thank you, friends.